Where there's thunder, there's lightning. John Nada. The question was posed by an individual the other day concerning that of taking the red pill. And in much of the same way that Cypher regretted unplugging from the Matrix and ultimately went back into the Matrix, there are those Mgtow from time to time that wonder if they made the right decision. There are those men sometimes wishing they didn't know what they know now, wishing they hadn't taken the red pill. And I think that comes out of a pretty common factor with a lot of people, is that most people never take the time to assess themselves or assess life correctly. We go about life, we pay our bills, we go to our job, we spend time with friends and family, but we never really look beyond all that. And we never really seek to see what potential could be there if we knew the things that were to be known to maximize that potential. And I think it comes out of a real thing with people, this tendency to sell yourself short. And I know that I've sold myself short in many avenues and in many aspects in life. And what's been interesting is that oftentimes, in spite of having sold myself short, I still was able to reach that level of potential that I was capable of. But I think that particularly a lot of guys sell themselves short. And they don't know what to do with this newfound freedom of thought, this newfound freedom of mobility, the not having to answer to somebody or not having to get the permission from somebody. That's the interesting thing. It's almost as if many men want to be enslaved. There's a guy that I know that I think literally worships the ground that his girlfriend walks on. And then I'm sure in many ways has sold himself short because he thinks he can't do better or won't do better. But it goes back to that never taking the time to assess life. Now, the question that I ask back to all this is, what good does it do to stay in ignorance? Before I took the red pill, before I became Mgtow, before I understood hypergamy and gynocentrism and all these other aspects of male-female relationships and dating, before I really saw what a carnival marriage is, not knowing those things did not really improve my life. Not knowing those things and being ignorant to those facts, not only did it not improve my life to not know them, but it actually put me in a rather dangerous and precarious situation. I had no idea of the danger that I was in. It's as if you're a 3 or 4 year old playing in the backyard and you don't know what a copperhead is. The fact that you don't know what a copperhead is, the fact that you don't know that a copperhead is poisonous, does not mean that you will be immune to the poisonous bite nonetheless. So if anything, I don't wish that I hadn't have taken the red pill. If anything, I'm thankful that I was able to take the red pill. And in the meantime, prior to the awakening brought about by the red pill, I didn't end up in jail or didn't end up dead or didn't end up divorced and didn't end up with my life, my children, half my finances or more ripped away from me and didn't end up on the streets. If anything, I'm thankful that I didn't fall peril to these things due to my ignorance, because simply not being aware of them, simply not knowing, does not change the reality. It doesn't change the reality of female nature. It doesn't change the reality of hypergamy and gynocentrism. It doesn't change the reality of Briefos law. All it does is make you ignorant to the game that you have decided to play without knowing the rules. All it's done is made you ignorant to the things going on around you and the things that are out to harm and hurt you. Now that you have this knowledge, it doesn't change anything. I would have to say I'm probably happier knowing these things, because before, I imagine, like most of you, before knowing these things, I couldn't understand why women acted the way they did. I couldn't understand why things were the way they were in the world, especially as it pertained to dating and marriage and relationships. If anything, it made me sell myself short and look down on myself and think something was wrong with me. But after taking the red pill, I was awakened to the reality that there was nothing wrong with me. There was simply something wrong with the game that I was playing. Women are like a Trojan horse. You let the Trojan horse into your house, she seems like your sanctuary, your cleft in the rock, your safety from all that is wrong and out to get you in the world. But it's that very sanctuary, it's that very safety, it's that very comfort that in the end ends up taking more from you than anything you could have ever imagined. In the end, ends up destroying you more than you could have ever thought, more so than any closet monster or bedroom under the bed monster, more so than any worldly danger out there. You let this Trojan horse into your house. She takes away your dreams, your family, your finances, your children, and in oftentimes, many cases, your very freedom. But as P.T. Barnum once said, there's a sucker wed every day. This is something else that was brought up this week. Stardust getting a strike on his channel. Actually, 2 strikes. And before I had found out about this, I was planning on talking about the idea of silencing Mgtow, because there's been so many channels that they have attempted to silence through the strikes. So many channels they've attempted to shut down. But the society does not seem to understand that the message, if it is a true message, will get out there regardless of the attempts to stop it. But this is the same society, a society that would rather let a woman jump off of a building with her child than to give the child's father a chance to be in their life and raise them as his own. It goes back to what I was saying a minute ago about certain people saying that they wonder if maybe taking the red pill was a bad idea. And even before I knew these truths, and even before I found out all these things, I had never really dated a normal woman. Every woman I ever dated always had some kind of issue, some kind of angle, anxiety, baggage, issues, family problems. I never was able to just date somebody that we could go out and have a fun time together, experience life together, experience things together. You know, I never met the girl that we could go down to the dock with a set of fishing poles and fish from sunup to sundown and just laugh and have a good time. It was never like that. All the women that I've always dated have always had issues, always had problems, always needed some sort of drama. They always needed some sort of excitement, a fight, an argument, something. And the other thing that I found out pre-red pill was that I never really dated a woman that had any kind of true loyalty. The minute things got hard or difficult, the minute that you weren't providing what they felt like you should be providing to them, the minute that you showed any weakness, any humanity, any vulnerability, they were out the door. They were already on the prowl, looking for the next man that they would devour. So I never experienced any of these things really with anybody, pre or post red pill, that are supposed to make relationships so great. There was never any sense that I could ever really trust these people. There was never any sense that they were ever going to be loyal to me. I always kind of knew instinctively that they were never mine. It was simply just my turn. And like I said, oftentimes their presence in my life was of no more value than their absence. And then oftentimes what they brought to the table with their presence in my life, many times, often more so than not, was a hindrance. I was talking to some friends the other day about the lottery, and they were talking about buying some scratch-off tickets and, putting in a pool, a work pool kind of thing. And, that has quite an allure to it. And after talking with them about it, I'm actually much more so convinced now that I would have a better chance at hitting it big and winning the Powerball or whatever it is than I ever would of meeting a normal, loyal, trusting woman. I'm more convinced, more so now than ever, that winning the lottery is something more easily attainable than finding a wife that will bring benefit to your life and stay with you through the long haul, through till death do us part. And the reason that conversation came up, I'm convinced, is that many of us think about that. And there's a good Alan Watts lecture that he gave some years ago concerning the subject. And Alan asked the question, if money were no object, what would you do with your life? You see, because many of us are in jobs, we're in locations, geographical locations, job locations. We're there because we have to be. You know, I got to feed myself. I got to pay my bills. I got to pay rent, whatever the case may be. But what if you won the lottery and money was no object anymore? What would you do with your life? Where would you be at? Where would you live? What kind of things would you be doing? What kind of work would you be involved in? See, these are the questions that I think we wake up in the middle of the night or just before we fall asleep. We think about these things. And then right before we drift off, we kind of put them out of our mind and think, well, you know, what's the use of worrying about this, or what's the use of worrying about that, because I'm never going to have that kind of money. I don't think you necessarily need to win the lottery to ask yourself that question of what if money were no object. There's a lot of inspiring stories out there from many people in our community, in the Mgtow manosphere. These guys didn't win the lottery. Maybe they have a lot of money, or maybe they don't. But there's a lot of ways in life, and it's not all just based off of money, to live the life that you want to live and to be the kind of person that you want to be. But we sell ourselves short. I talk about women not having loyalty to men, but many of us don't have loyalty to ourselves. We don't have loyalty to our dreams. We don't have loyalty to our aspirations. We don't care or think enough about ourselves to think that we could go and fulfill this dream or accomplish that goal. So, again, we don't take stock of who we are. We don't take stock of where we're at in life. If money were no object, what would you, Mgtow, be doing? Where would you be? Where would you go? And who would you be? And I, for one, can tell you, again, going back to the Trojan horse, if you let the Trojan horse into your living room, if you let the Trojan horse into your life, you can rest assured that whatever dreams, whatever aspirations, whatever desires that you had will go out the window, will evaporate and fly away with the breeze of the wind. The society does not care about what you want or who you are. The society only concerns itself with what you can offer to the society. And we have seen the gynocentrism of society. The society must keep up the charade, and so therefore we must silence anybody that has a differing view. We must silence even the most innocuous of views. But silencing Mgtow channels, silencing Mgtow content contributors will not stop the train of Mgtow, because it's an individual thing. It's an awakening that happens within, not without. It's not something somebody finds on a YouTube channel or something somebody types into Google. It's that still small voice that you hear in the darkness of night. It's that nattering in your head. It's that poking and prodding that something simply is amiss here. Something's not right with the way things are. And I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go the direction I choose. Go your own way or don't. The choice is yours.